Hello and welcome to yet another SSCAIT report. Today I'll be your host, Choboswaggins, aka Jealous from Team Liquid. And first and foremost, I'd like to apologize for the delay in uploading this broadcast. I had something unexpected come up today, so I will again be late night radio Chobo for today's broadcast. However, we do have some exciting games recommended to us from the SSCAIT Discord, the link for which you can find in the description below. Jumping right into it, we have Krona against Krasio. Krasio spawning here as the Red Terran at the 8 o'clock position on Python, and Krona at the 1 o'clock position on Python as well. Maybe more like 2 o'clock, spawning as the Teal Zerg. So already two overlords are made. We can already tell that this is not going to be an early pool build of any sort. This looks like it was going to be a 12 pool. Oftentimes you'll see this followed up maybe with an 11 hatchery, but we're not quite there yet. Hatchery is actually now being made, and it's actually being made in the main base, which is interesting. This kind of signifies that it's going to be a mass Zergling build or potentially a one base Mutalisk build. More likely to be Zerglings though, given the start and the lateness of the gas. Meanwhile, Krasio is opening with barracks and adding that bunker at the ramp, playing very safe. This is something that Krasio is known for, playing that safe play, and it's also going to be most likely mech play. I'm expecting to see a Vulture, then maybe some tanks and Goliaths. In the meantime, Krona is going for the 3-hatch Zergling play. It seems it's going to put on 3 drones on gas, it's going to get 100 gas and then get the speed, and most likely it's going to stop after that point. So the SCV is being chased around, brought the mineral as an offering, is going to go down shortly. The bunker is going to be able to defend against Zergling pressure at the front for now. Overlord going down as well, supply capping Corona, which is not a good look at this point in the game. Excuse me. When going for a 3-hatch Mutalisk, 3-hatch Zergling all-in of this nature, and as I mentioned earlier, the gas mining has ceased. You do want to have constant Zergling production and hit that critical mass that you need in order to bust the opponent's base as soon as possible. The Zergling's running away from the Marine here to try to, I guess, maybe disguise the number of Zerglings that it has, and it's trying to run into up the ramp now. SCVs are being pulled forward to defend. The bunker is being repaired as well. The SCVs are trying to block the Zerglings. The Zerglings are getting a ton of damage in, but there's all going down as well. Great control here from Krasio. Krasio manages to hold on, and the Zerglings are still being streamed in, but without that critical mass now, the bunker it should be able to hold. I would like to also maybe see a block on the ramp. That could be quite useful in this situation. Perhaps a little bit dicey in this situation to completely leave the ramp unblocked and no SCVs ready for repair. The SCVs are pulled right away though. Great stuff here. And this was actually a recommended replay where the recommender, Antigua Irion, recommended it concerning the advances made in army control. I'm guessing that it refers to the control of the SCVs in this case, the way that they were body blocking the Zerglings, and the pulling of the SCVs to repair before the Zerglings even arrived, which is really, really fantastic stuff here from Krasio. Krona is going to continue pumping those Zerglings, not showing any signs of stopping. Meanwhile, Krasio has chosen not to go for that mech open air actually, and is going to continue sticking with bio play with 2 racks, but with this all in being held, can't help but feel that perhaps Krasio will start pulling ahead here now. 21 workers to the 11 of Krona. Despite all the SCV losses, the economy is definitely stronger for Krasio, and as the Marine medic count continues to climb, perhaps maybe some fire bats could be added as well. I'm quite interested to see the fact that there's a lot of money being floated right now. No Marine medic production, which is quite interesting to me. I guess it was saving up money to add this factory, so it is going to be biomech indeed, apparently. But perhaps stopping Marine production at a somewhat critical point. The hold is still on, though. 2 Zerglings did make it into the mineral line. The SCVs are trying to glitch them out. The bunker is preventing more from getting in, but it's quite a number of SCV losses yet again. 11 workers to 18. Corona shows no signs of stopping the Zergling production. Doesn't quite have enough economy in order to continue a non-stop production of Zerglings. Ballsy turret placement here. Scans being going down, which is important. You want to find out whether or not the Zerg is transitioning out of Zergling production. Marines are coming in small numbers, not capable of stopping this force of Zerglings. And actually the Zerglings quite a number of them have made it into this base now. Krasio perhaps getting a little bit too greedy, and now there's going to be trouble here. 2 workers now down for Krasio. Great control from Corona with the Zerglings. Going to go for the bunker now without any repairs. Interesting choice there to attack the turret as well. And the gas perhaps not quite the thing that you want to be attacking in that situation. Just 1 SCV now 2 for Krasio with his bunker. Should burn down. The next wave of Zerglings could be fatal. Kind of an unexpected outcome. I would have hoped, would have thought that after the initial hold, that Krasio would be able to leverage that position into a win, but unfortunately it seems that the Zerglings are too great in number and strength. Heard a different bunker here. Oh, okay, this bunker back here is probably an anti-mutalisk bunker back there. Definitely not going to do a great job of protecting the mineral line against Zerglings in this case. Zerglings are still in great number, and now actually the Spire is being added. This is an interesting time to do so, because I would think that the Zerglings could actually just win the game at this point. Krasio has scanned it seems, and is adding those turrets to defend against the Mutalisks, adding more here now. Kind of a bit spread out. Normally humans, what they do is they make like a row of like 3 here, then like 3 here, and then they use the Marine Medics to defend against the mineral line. But in this case, the Zerglings are the greater threat. The Zerglings are going to be able to take out the turrets as well before the Mutalisks arrive, which is a top choice. The bunker is most likely going to go down here, and yeah, this is absolutely destruction for Krasio. Great stuff here from Krona, managing to pull ahead here and take out Krasio, one of the most scariest Terran AIs that is out there right now. Great stuff. Moving on to the next game, we have Krasio yet again spawning at the 5 o'clock position on Tau Cross as the orange Terran against Monster spawning as the teal Zerg at the 10, 9, let's say 9 o'clock position. Yet still on Tau Cross. So Monster, of course, one of the top AIs in the scene right now. I believe last time I checked, it was actually #1 on both the Schnail ladder and the Basil ladder. Basil, of course, being the ladder for all AIs that are submitted, and Schnail being the ladder, the StarCraft human and AI ladder, where humans get to face off against the AIs that you see here in these broadcasts. I'll include a link to it in the description below. I was actually thinking about maybe doing a broadcast where I play or I show how how to play on Schnail and how easy it is. I'm thinking maybe I'll do that next time. I'll play just one game because I don't want my play to be the focus of it, but I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to face some strong AIs, so maybe you'll see some interesting games there. And it's also, I feel like we don't really have very many FPV VODs on this channel, of course, because most of them are played by AI. AI, by the way, for the most part, as far as I know, don't have a like screen the way that we do. They kind of just know the game from a machine level, as opposed to having like a screen to look at or whatever. So it's going to be a Zergling rush from Monster actually, and nice SCV pull again from Krasio. Great stuff here. The SCV pull probably is what was being discussed in the previous game as well. The SCVs, though, should not be engaging without the support of the Marines in the back. Great stuff, though, to block the Zerglings. Let's see the Marines. They have to stand behind the SCVs, otherwise the losses might get too great. 11 workers versus 7. This is definitely very aggressive from Monster. Monster actually adding a second hatchery now, too. And this game was suggested because it was called Monster Bugging Out. And by the way, I do want to note that Krasio now has gone for that factory after 1 Rax, as opposed to the last game where it went for 2 Rax, perhaps recognizing the heavy Zergling play. Good reactions from Krasio, but of course, Vultures are great at microwing against Zerglings as well, especially in AI. Interesting little repair party here. Minerals have run out now, though. It's time to start mining again, and the Vultures should be able to hold against any further Zergling aggression. So the bug out that is going to happen here, I think I'll save explanations for what it is until later, when we start seeing it in action. Sorry, I had to cough there. Vultures now being out scouting for any expansions that Monster may have laid down. The barracks has been lifted, could be used as a wall here potentially. The economic damage to Krasio was quite severe, though. Only 12 workers to 10 right now. Definitely should consider adding more Vultures. Yes, there they are. 1 Vulture now coming in to harass the Zerglings, going to start patrolling. And yeah, decides to back off and instead. should be Zergling speed should have been already researched. Yes, indeed. Zergling speed, no vulture speed, no add-on yet. Speed Zerglings can surround a slow vulture and take it out that way, so perhaps a good idea from Krasio not to engage there against the speed Zerglings. The Zergling count is continuing to climb, and this is actually the bug out that was discussed, is the fact that Monster, for whatever reason, in the chat it was mentioned that it was possibly because of the fact that there was a quote-unquote rush. It gets locked into this pure Zergling production mode. It's actually adding a 4th hatchery now, going to be producing Zerglings off of 4 hatcheries, similar to the 3 hatchery game we saw last game. And this is, again, Monster's patented Zergling wall, or like unit positioning wall, the way that it prevents any vultures to come in this way. In the meantime, we see Krasio is going to go for an expansion, has added turrets preemptively, perhaps somewhat blindly. No need for real turrets right now. The SCV should have been aware of that, so definitely an expenditure that should have been saved, could have been invested into another factory, or perhaps more vultures, which is exactly what you would need, or want at least, against a Zergling heavy opponent in this case, from the mech lineup. Although Goliaths are quite good too, they can't kite the same way that Vultures do. Vultures take 2 shots to kill a Zergling. Zerglings are being sent out right now as scouts, apparently, perhaps being sent out to burrow as well to prevent any expansions. This is something that Monster is also well known for. Looks like this Zergling is actually just going to patrol between these 2 bases to prevent any SCVs from expanding. It's actually going to be Goliath edition now, so perhaps Krasio, despite the wealth of scouting information that it's gained first from the SCV, and now with the Vultures, seeing the fact that it's very heavily invested on Zerglings, and with the engineering bay floating here, has not opted to go for to continue Vulture production. Is actually going to go tanks and Goliaths, which is an interesting choice. Vulture speed is complete now. Zerglings should not be able to catch up to Vultures with our speed upgrade. I believe it is the fastest unit in the game. And the Vultures are going to start picking away at the Zerglings. The Zerglings are not capable of surrounding. They can't even choose to engage at this point. And this is just a funny sight to behold here. Just an army of Zerglings trapped in the city of hatcheries here, being picked away slowly by Vultures. Zergling production is continuing, just pure Zergling production. And it's going to probably take a while for just these 2 Vultures to take them out. Mines being laid now as well to catch any Zerglings coming out or being made from the additional hatchery. Maybe not the best investment there, but still one nonetheless. Mines being laid to prevent expansions. Siege tanks are probably not the choice to be made. It seems that Krasio is kind of just following a pre-planned build order in this case, without really reacting to the composition of Monster here. Monster still continuing to produce pure Zerglings and Overlords, and that is actually quite a scary number of Zerglings. I feel like if the Zerglings were just sent on 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, or in this case just mass attack command, they could probably take out Krasio's base, but the 2 Vultures are scaring them so much that the Zerglings choose not to engage. And also should be noted that the presence of mines must be a threat for Zerglings as well, as Zerglings just melt when they step on mines, and now you see that there's mines actually being placed defensively all over the place as well. Zerglings still stationary inside the base. I'm going to speed it up a little bit just to see how the game ends here. Zerglings are moving erratically in this main base. Thank God for hovering drones. Oh, actually, oh my goodness. Alright, I'm going to slow down. The Zergling count is outrageous now. 74.5 army, meaning that there is 149 Zerglings on the map right now, and that could be enough, especially if you send in a couple Zerglings ahead of time to drag the mines, and not take the brunt of the damage with a stacked clump of Zerglings like this. I'm actually quite curious to see how this will end up. There's not a lot of mines on route to the base. There's only a couple over here. Still enough to possibly kill at least 50 Zerglings, I think, but now the push is on from Krasio. Krasio, Goliath, and Vulture heavy, which is a good composition to have against Zerglings. The Zergling count is dropping because of the harassment from these 2 Vultures, and the push is coming in now. Ooh, Irradiate on the Zergling, interesting choice. I maybe would have wanted to see a 2 vessels with Irradiate and Eraser here, but the Zerglings unfortunately not even choosing to engage. They are too scared of this mech ball army. They do engage the Goliath when it ventured in a little bit too closely into the range of the Sunkens, but in general it's just a bloodbath here as Zerglings are getting picked off by the Vultures before they can even get close. and I have a feeling that this is how the game is going to end, with the army count now precipitously high, sorry, for Krasio at 90 army against 0, and that's when Monster calls the game. Interesting bug. Interesting to see a top level AI, the fact that it still has what are called potato moments. But yeah, very nicely done and very interesting to see here. Now, onto some more advanced stuff. This is Banana Brain spawning at the bottom left as the orange Protoss on La Mancha. And on the top right, we have Stardust spawning as the red Protoss, so it's going to be a PvP. And this was recommended to us because of what was called BB's cool new tech, BB of course being Banana Brain. And it's going to be interesting to see what exactly the recommender was referring to in this case. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. I forgot to do that, and I also forgot to set up this thing, unfortunately, earlier. I'm sorry about that. Looks like on this map, positional advantage would go to Banana Brain in this case, because his third base is away from the opponent, whereas Stardust third base is towards the opponent. Would have to take this base as a third to be safe. This kind of radial symmetry leading to positional advantages and disadvantages, particularly in mirror matchups like PvP, is well known in the community and beyond. Scouting probe rather for Banana Brain, leaving way later than Stardust, going after the first gateway, it seems, and it's actually going to be gateway pylon, which is an interesting choice. You generally don't see gateway pylon. You would normally see either a second gateway or the gas done before that, but it looks like it's going to be, because of it might be going Zeal Core as opposed to Zeal Core Zeal, or Core Zeal, which are two different approaches to kind of the same build. Zeal Core, actually no, it looks like it's going to be Zeal Core Zeal. This is a safer variation. Meanwhile, Monster just now adding a Cybernetics Core a little bit later. It also went for Zeal Core Zeal, it seems, but somewhat delayed, and actually the second Zealot's not going to be coming out, it's going to be a second gateway instead. Stardust, of course, very well known for just having a large Dragoon push off of 4 gateways on one base, leading it to be one of the strongest AIs in the scene right now, and is the tournament winner of most AI tournaments that it has entered since last summer, as far as I'm aware, if not all of them. 1 Dragoon after 2 Zealots is a very standard follow-up. We see range now coming in for both players. Now, Stardust a little bit behind on the range upgrade, but I don't think that Banana Brain would be able to leverage this timing advantage. It definitely can't be aggressive and in time by the time it arrives at the enemy base. It will already have, Stardust will already have range as well. 2 Dragoons, 1 Zealot trying to push their way towards the 2 Zealot, 2 Dragoons from Banana Brain. Banana Brain should be able to hold that quite easily. But backing off from the ramp, maybe not the best idea, but it did invite some pressure. It could have been a good move there, but did not work out. So for those of you that don't know, in Brood War there is an uphill miss chance. It's listed in the game, I believe, as something like 25%, but it's actually closer to 47% miss chance. So there's only a 53% chance of hitting while shooting uphill, which is, of course, very, how should I say, very low chance. So uphill definitely gives a great defender's advantage. But now Banana Brain looking to move out. Army count's almost identical, 26 to 24, and it's actually going to be 4 gateways, Dragoons pumping from both players. It's going to be interesting how these engagements play out. This bridge is not working in Banana Brain's favor. Banana Brain is going to be have a difficulty with that, but is actually going to get the supply lead, and we can see here why that is. It's because of the fact that there was an addition of Forge and Cannon, slowing down the production of Stardust potentially just by a little bit. Dragoons engaging in the middle. The cannon is going to do a great job of helping hold at the top, but it's not going to be able to be used in engagements that are happening in the middle of the map. Nice concave here from Banana Brain, falling back and inviting Stardust to advance in an erratic fashion, and therefore gaining a superior engagement, now 32 supply against 22. And for those of you who are wondering, I'm guessing that Stardust went for that Forge and Cannon because it is afraid of the DT tech option that could be coming out of Banana Brain. But Banana Brain, of course, is going straight for it for Gateway Dragoons, continuing to pump with that. Both AI on 22 workers, which is the optimal amount that you need to mine. AI, of course, having the perfect mining pattern, 2 probes per mineral patch, 3 on gas, and I believe 1 to move around and build buildings when needed. That is the general build order, or at least the general production number that is required. Looks like more pylons being added. No, oh, actually no, these are cannons now. The forge is up. Interesting choice yet again, because I guess because Banana Brain's not aware of what Stardust is doing as well, it does see the High Dragoon production. If it could be anticipating that maybe there would be a tech switch from Stardust, but Stardust is perhaps unconventionally being held in its base here. Again, it's because of that army supply difference, but with 5 gateways now, it is imaginable that Stardust may be able to start pumping more than Banana Brain. Banana Brain, on the other hand, though, is adding that robotics facility for observers, potentially Reavers. Its shuttle play is quite fantastic with the Reaver, and it's actually going up to 2 bases as well, which should give it a solid economic advantage against Stardust. And one thing to note is that it actually has started adding workers in advance of the expansion, which is a great move here. Some workers do Maynard over already, and the Dragoon count is very similar, but now it's adding more Zealots is Banana Brain, and the Zealots have not been able to engage quite well. The Dragoon count does seem to be the more important deciding factor in this case, and now Stardust finally has an army supply lead and is taking its expansion now itself as well. Trying to push back Banana Brain. Banana Brain has to be careful about how it crosses this bridge, but this choke is working in its favor. Great concave here from Banana Brain. Banana Brain decides to abandon this position. Perhaps if maybe it has a Reaver defensively. No, not quite yet. It's actually adding a third Nexus at a really risky time, I think. Now the bridge is going to work in its favor, I think, but I think the army count is actually still, even though on paper it says that it's even, Stardust seems to have that army more advanced. The cannons will help defensively though, but the Dragoon count is heavier at the front here. Army 16 to 10 of Banana Brain. Cannons will be useful here. The Dragoons possibly seeing the cannons decide to fall back and regroup with additional units here. The main is actually quite close to being mined out. It definitely needs to start thinking about taking a third base of its own, as is Banana Brain. That could be the explanation for taking that third Nexus at a time. That could have been potentially risky when the opponent is advancing. There is a delay from the investment into Nexus into when you can start utilizing those additional resources. So I thought that maybe Banana Brain hadn't quite hit that time yet when it started setting up its third base, but as we can see here, the addition of Reavers now as well is going to help defensively hold this position. Third base now coming up for Stardust as well. Very, very tight game here. This bridge being a focal point. Neither AI wanting to engage here because of the fact that the concave is going to be better on the other side. It's kind of going to be a stalemate situation here. A couple of Dragoons do get traded. The Zealots try to run forward, but the Zealots get picked off before they can get close enough. Great concaves on either side of this stalemate position. Observer has found the third base, I believe. Fourth base now coming up as well for Banana Brain. Let's take a look back here. The Reaver could be useful, but the bridge is a little bit too long for the maximum utilization range for the Reaver. I believe it is at least going to stall out any advancement opportunities from Stardust and maybe could open up the position for Banana Brain to push through it. The Reaver, however, unfortunately glitching out the same way that it does in humans' hands all the freaking time by running around, not being very useful. I believe the units blocking it like so tightly on the bridge too would prevent the Scarabs from actually doing much damage, but having that tech advantage is good, and it's actually going into Templar tech now as well. Templar tech is the ultimate late game late game PvP option. Storm being so effective against Zealot and Dragoon clumps. Reavers of course are still good, but not quite as good as Templar, and now we're seeing the army being pushed back with great shuttle control. Zealots now in the significant enough number to soak up some shots while the Dragoons shoot from behind. The Reaver should be able to do a lot of damage here. The shuttle is getting picked at by the Dragoons, but unfortunately reinforcements have arrived for Banana Brain, so Stardust has to continue falling back, and this is the weakness of pure Dragoon production. It is now adding that Citadel, most likely just for the speed upgrade. I don't see a Templar Archives on the way. Maybe actually for the attack upgrades, and it should be interesting to know that Stardust actually has one upgrade advantage here, one armor advantage, but unfortunately armor is not quite as important as attack. Definitely should be considering adding that Templar Archives to go for attack upgrades, and we now see an Arbiter Tribunal for Banana Brain as it takes down the third base of Stardust. Definitely in a lead here. Arbiters are the late game tool of choice as well in PvP because of the fact that you can stasis the opponent's army and therefore win solid engagements. Also recalled less frequently used than in PvT, but still used sometimes, but mostly is going to be for the stasis. Meanwhile, counter pressure from Stardust is going to be able to take down this fifth base from Banana Brain, or at least start hammering away at the probes. The game is turning intense now. The army is going to be sent and dispatched out to defend, but at the same time, some pressure at the front from Stardust. Huge supply lead, by the way, for Banana Brain, largely due to the fact that it has a 30 worker lead almost here. The Dragoons are in a menacing position here and a serious number. It's going to take some important decision making here from Banana Brain to how it's going to clean this up. Arbiter now out is going to be tremendously useful. There's no detection here for Stardust, no observers. No observers here, rather. There are observers out on the map. The Dragoons are continuing to pester this 5th base, but the main threat has been mitigated by Banana Brain, and this is now neck and neck in terms of army supply. Still a worker lead from Banana Brain, but that worker lead is decreasing as these Dragoons again have come over here to engage. A lot of army being sent back. This is something that you see newer players in Brood War do all the time. They send their whole entire army to take out a minor threat. In this case, it might have been more prudent to send out just one more Dragoon than the one that is attacking you, but at the same time, there is always a chance of backups arriving, and as we see that here, before even the cannons have a chance to pop up, this cannon is going to finish, but not in time to defend, and maybe it would have been wise for Banana Brain to add more cannons here, but at the same time, you have to consider the fact that because of the fact that these engagements have been going so evenly, despite the tech advantage for Banana Brain, maybe did not want to risk using that money. And look at this, Reaver play, Templar play at the same time with the Arbiter present as well. I'm waiting for that stasis tech. Do we have the stasis? This is Templar energy. Do we have research? Yes, we do have stasis available. Stasis will catch big clumps of Dragoons and help win engagements here. However, it should also be noted that 2 Arbiters take up 8 supply of their own, so they're not exactly great as combat units. The stasis has to be done very well, and the observers have to be used as well. Observer sniping could be useful here. We do see a bunch of observers for Banana Brain, a total of 4, perhaps more than you need in this case, and still just 1 I see on the map. Let me see how many there are. Yeah, just 1 for Stardust here. The Dragoon count is quite high, no, 29, higher than the Dragoon count from Banana Brain, but with the supporting Reavers and Templar, it should be an engagement that is favorable. And there it is. I'm sorry that I missed it. There's the stasis that is going to potentially make the tide switch here in favor of Banana Brain as it goes valiantly into Stardust Natural and is going to take down a lot of probes with the Reavers. The base going down could be damaging as well. There's 2 bases here for Stardust, and it's actually starting a 3rd after denying one from Banana Brain here earlier. Looks like another roving band of Dragoons is picking a time when to engage, is picking off reinforcements. There's only Zealots and Templar here. Nice splitting away from the storm, not taking down anything. The Archon is being formed, but at the same time, Stardust is being pushed all the way back into its main base. The production facilities are starting to go down. The economy is still greater for Banana Brain, 70 workers to 42, and now that it's firmly made its way up the ramp, it's going to be very hard for Stardust to hold. It has to start considering how it's going to start remake gateways and where it's going to do so. Perhaps in this main base would be the choice, but I think it might be actually too little too late. All the tech going down here as well would be devastating for Stardust, and the aggression continues. This 3rd base is now up and running for Stardust, but it looks like another counterattack here. Oh my god, 4 Reavers and 4 shuttles going to be dancing around, taking out all these probes and the cannons here as the main base is falling for Stardust, and Banana Brain showing some amazing gameplay here. This is the full array of Protoss versus Protoss strategy and tech here. The only thing we haven't seen, of course, is the Dark Templar and the Dark Archon, I guess, but those are rare in these stages of the games. Fantastic play here from Banana Brain, a well-deserved win against one of the strongest AIs in the scene, and I'm interested to see what's going to happen in Banana Brain's future as it goes ahead with this monstrous micro, this great build, the build that it chose and how it executed it was fantastic. Stayed ahead of Stardust in Army Cap for most of the game, and the engagements, of course, and a lot of them, the concaves, were just simply better for Banana Brain, and now the game is surely over. I'm going to speed up through it. We're going to see this clean up here and here. Yeah, this is going to get cleaned up first, it seems, and now up here as well is going to get cleaned up. And that is a wrap. Now moving on to the last game of today, we have Locutus spawning at 12 o'clock as the yellow Protoss, and Microwave at the 6 o'clock of destination as the green Zerg. Locutus, of course, being from the same author as Stardust. Locutus was an earlier development. I played against it a couple of years ago, and it was really powerful. It stomped my Zerg pretty nicely. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays against Microwave here. Looks like it's going to be going for a Forge Fast Expand here at the natural. Meanwhile, Microwave going for the Overlord. I forgot the production tab yet again. There we go. And yeah, it's very standard play. One thing that you generally see from Zerg on this map is pool first builds. The reason for that is because of the fact that probes can block the hatchery at the natural, a two-player map, so therefore you always know where the enemy's going to be. The probe is not going to get the block off though, and the hatchery does get placed successfully. A 12 hatchery, very standard play here. In response, Locutus could opt to go for a Nexus before Cannon, but it chooses to go for Cannon anyway. Definitely not an optimal approach. I think that going for Nexus first here would be the better choice, but I guess better safe than sorry. We'll see if it adds a second cannon or nope, it goes straight for the Nexus. I like that much better. Gateway should go here as well to complete the wall off, but it does make it slightly difficult for units to come in and out. Might have to place the Zealot here to complete the wall off, but overall very nice placement here. And first few Zergans are coming out now. Third hatchery inside the main, which is an interesting choice. You rarely see this in ZVP. Normally you would see the third hatchery at a third gas like here or here on this map, and actually most maps. 3 hatch will be with only 2 gases, most likely is going to lead into Hydra pressure is my guess. Could also be Mutalisks, but unlikely given the fact that the second gas is so delayed. Second hatchery is now turning into a layer, in fact, and a sunken colony is going to be thrown down here as well. Perhaps also a little bit premature. There's not really any threat of any aggression yet. First Zealot is just now out on the way, and I thought that this was maybe a hatchery, but it turns out to be an Ursidon. Natural is now going to start pumping units. No probes being transferred, perhaps figuring that it's not efficient at this stage of the game. We have Cybernetics Core instantly spinning, so most likely that is going to be +1. No, it's actually range. Interesting. It's going to be Dragoon heavy play. Not difficult to see where that inspiration came from, and now we see the Spire coming down from Microwave. Microwave, of course, having made, if I recall correctly, some great advancements to its Mutalisk control. Well, the author made great advancements in Mutalisk control about around last summer. And since then, Mutalisks have been the build of choice. Interesting decision here to make all these drones before the Spire is finished. I'm not quite sure if that was the right call here. 3 Overlords being made as well. There's not going to be enough Spire, enough larvae to make 9 Mutalisks, I don't think. At least not right away yet. We're going to start off with 6. 7, 8, 9 going to be added shortly thereafter. Perhaps the drones might have been worth it in this case, considering the fact that the army is going to start pressuring now. You're going to be able to add more Sunkens here, and now the Mules are out. They're going to start dancing and weaving, trying to take out these Dragoons. Dragoons in low numbers are not good against Mutalisks, and in fact even in higher numbers they're not the best, simply because of the fact that they're a little bit unwieldy to use, they're a little bit clunky, so their surface area isn't great, and they are getting picked off one by one by Microwave here. But now with the numbers climbing, Microwave has to pull back. Let's keep a tab on the health of the Mutalisks. That is the important factor here. One of them is actually quite low. I'm interested. It's interesting for me. I wonder if Locutus targets the nearest Mutalisk or it intentionally picks off the weaker ones. Either way, we're going to try to keep up with this dance. Now Zergling's being thrown in. Perhaps it's somewhat of a meat shield. One Mutalisk does go down yet again here. Let's keep a tab on the army here. 12 Mutalisks, 7 Dragoons. It's going to be continuing with that Mutalisk production, it seems. Mass Mutalisks are incredibly good against Protoss until they get some sort of splash damage in the form of Archons and or Corsairs. Of course, doesn't seem to be the plan quite yet. Templar Archive is on the way. Zealot's being made now, which is interesting. Stargate is being made as well. Going to be quite gas-starved as Locutus after producing so many Dragoons as well, I feel. That I would have probably picked one or the other as opposed to going for both the Stargate and for the Templar Archives. I think maybe getting more Archons out earlier would have been the better call. Corsairs in low numbers are not that great against Mutalisks, and especially if the Mutalisks, yes, they already have the armor upgrade as I anticipated. Upgrades are fantastic. Our armor upgrades are fantastic against Corsairs. Are we going to see an Archon? Yes, it is. It's being morphed right here. some stairs are coming out as well, and now the Hydralisk switch is on from Microwave. Really nicely done. This is a very classic move from Zerg. You go Mutalisks to force greater Sayer numbers, you force the Templar to morph into Archons, and then the Hydralisk switch comes in and makes both of those units, both of those investments look a little bit silly. Splitting against the Archon are the Mutalisks. Yes, the Archon does go down to the Hydralisks as well. What are the upgrades on the Hydralisk? We have Hydra Speed, no range yet. Looks like that's about it. And now the Hydras are going to start pumping in. Not enough cannons here to defend. There's actually quite a lot of money being floated. But no Templar and no Storm yet as well. Cannons just now being added one by one. Definitely would have wanted to see maybe 4 or 5 of them by now. But the production tab is off the charts now for Locutus. Locutus has climbed to a significant gateway count. Total of 1, 2, 3, 8 gateways, I believe. 9 if we count the front. And in terms of Hydralisk production, we have, it seems like 6 hatcheries here for the Zerg player, but only 2 bases, and that's something that we should be aware of here. Third base is being attempted to be made here, but unfortunately is going to be taken down by the Protoss player, and it actually wasn't even canceled. It was straight up deleted. Well, not deleted, but killed by the Protoss player, resulting in a loss of 300 minerals, something that perhaps Microwave could have avoided. Sending another drone now blatantly in front of the army of the Protoss is the Zerg player. And Hydras are still going to trade very nicely against this composition, I believe. I mean, Dragoon, Archon, and these low numbers are not going to fare well against Hydras, but the Hydras for some reason are choosing to run away. I'm not sure why that is. They're taking a bad engagement here on the bridge as well. Dragoons are kiting quite nicely though. Hydras are still going to be the better unit though overall. Let's see, does it have range yet? Still no range, which is crucial against Dragoons in my opinion. I'm quite surprised to see that it's not been researched yet. Still no +2 either for the Protoss player, +2. A little bit less useful, I think, in this situation. Finally, it does cancel that hatchery this time. And meanwhile, Locutus behind this is going for a super greedy 3rd, 4th, and 5th base. 3rd is already up. But now the pressure is on at the front. Zerglings are going to be good against Dragoons as well. The cannon count is still quite low here. Dragoon count is quite high. Look at the army, it's 52 supply versus 20 for Locutus. That is bad news bears. Locutus probably a little bit too greedy, going for 5 bases right off the rip like that. The probes have been discovered as well by the Mutalisks and the Zerglings. The base has been found. This base has not been found yet, but with no Storm and no Reaver even, one or the other would be absolutely beautiful here against these Zerglings, but I guess now that Locutus seems to be going for more of a Zergling-heavy composition, if we look at the production, is going back to Muta Zergling, the Archons should be able to fare well, but of course, remember the fact that the Mutalisks are able to dance and stay away from that area of effect, making Zerg incredibly strong in this situation. Still now adding Templar yet again, but these bases are barely mining now because of the constant harassment that has been seen. This base has now been found by the Mutalisks as well. Perhaps not the best expansion choice right next to the Zerg player here. Now the Zerglings have made their way into the main base, taking out the Forge before the upgrade. No, the upgrade stays. Sorry, the Forge stays, and that looks like it's going to be +2, is going to finish up here, but is it too little, too late? Zergling count is continuing to climb. Let's see, what is the research for them? Still no crack upgrades, still no hive tech. No hive tech yet for the Zerg. Interesting here. I'm really surprised at the lack of upgrades, especially for ground in general. You know, no Hydralisk range, no Hive and Zergling crack upgrade, but finally we are seeing that expansion now. Perhaps Microwave realized that it has to back up a little bit because it mined out of its main base. And army count is 38 to 12, but definitely lower than it was before. Mutalisks are still being an annoyance here. The Archon is close to death. Dragoons have been pulled back to take care of that. Nice snipe there from Microwave. Microwave's Mutalisks are going to tear through these Dragoons. The lack of cannons at the natural is going to be problematic as well. The natural is almost dead, to be fair, but it's still not a base you want to lose. That gas income is important. Now just on 3 bases, still hemorrhaging probes is Locutus, and the game seems to be close to over at this point. Not much left in it. 3 workers, 2 army, and very nicely done by Microwave. Very strong Zerg play. I love the way that it switched its production from Zerglings to Mutalisks to Hydralisks and so on and so forth. I'm sorry, from Mutalisks to Hydralisks to Zerglings and Mutalisks, keeping the Protoss on its toes. And with the falling of the main base, this has to be GG. Just 2 workers here and 1 worker probably in the main base somewhere. yeah, that's just about a wrap. And that is a wrap for our broadcast today as well. Sorry it's a little bit shorter than usual, but of course I had a long day, and I will seek to give you guys a longer broadcast next time I'm back, which should be in 2 weeks. Be sure to tune in next week at the regularly scheduled time, I'm sure, because Nightcat is a responsible individual, unlike me, which would be next Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and that is 8 p.m. Berlin time. That's what we usually use. Yeah, so thank you guys for putting up with the late upload and for the shortness of this video. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, a wonderful summer, a wonderful life. I hope everyone's happy and healthy, and yeah, I hope to see you guys again. Take care.